We're entering the end game now. What's going on, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, friends. I really do hope that. And of course, welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series, every single ruddy day, where I go over what's being said about the Blues, giving you my opinion. More importantly, asking for yours. Today, I'm not referencing articles. I've been listening to podcasts and reading many articles, but I want to talk directly about the potential frontrunners, the favourites for the fabled shortlist, the Raine Group shortlist, which is, of course, the 3 to 4 potential owners that will had graduated into the next round that will be analysed by a load of bodies, like analysts, Chelsea Football Club, the UK government. Indeed, people close to Roman Abramovich are still supposedly have a lot to do with the decision. Those 3 people are Marina Granovskaya, Bruce Buck, and Eugene Tenenbaum. Can you see a recurring theme there? The free hands of Abramovich being instrumental in the choice of a new owner. No, but Roman's got nothing to do with it. It's his free, lieutenants, whatever you want to call it. They're the ones deciding. Come on now, come on. But, many Chelsea fans will think that's good. If Roman indirectly has a say in what's going on, then he'll want what's best for the club, right? Right? So we're going to talk about that and some potential suitors. Please do drop a like. It means a lot, and it's just a click of a button, and you're all welcome to subscribe to the channel, of course, if you're yet to do so. And all of you who are subscribed, it sounds like I'm doing like a weird sermon. Click the bell noti, because I'm uploading all the time, and you need to be instructed on what's going on. Right, so let's start off with favourites, or let's get into the favourites for the shortlist at Raine Group. Of course, loads of people have bidded, between 20 and 30 people bidded, up to 200 people expressed an interest in buying Chelsea, but just the fact how there's like 30 potential buyers is wild. This will be the biggest purchase of a sports club in history. I mean, I think it was an American team that was the second most. I mean, if you think about what Man United, the biggest club in the world, in the Premier League at least, they were bought for like 700 to 800 million pounds. This is going to be 4 times as much as what the Glazers played Man United for. Of course, Man United are worth much more now. Man United are worth more than Chelsea now, especially in whatever, you'd imagine they'd go for like 4 billion. But Chelsea are going to go for about £3 billion. And considering we're in a climate where they have to sell, where it's been frozen as an asset, and it's, to do with sanctions and geopolitical controversy, £3 billion is a lot of money. Maybe Chelsea could have got more in a different situation, or whoever's selling Chelsea could have got more. So it's going to go for a lot. So the fact how there's that many bidders interested is testament to what Chelsea represents. What does Chelsea represent? A massive European superpower, current champions of Europe and champions of the world, best real estate in England in terms of in terms of a stadium, and London as well. London, it being really important. And what else? No debt. 1.5 billion big boy bucks wiped away. Alluring. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the first. Let's start with the negatives. Let's start with the Ricketts, because we all know what's going on with the No to Ricketts campaign on social media. It's not just the father who wrote those emails that got leaked. There's been other problematic stuff that's surfaced since videos, people talking about how they run the club. It's generally collectively the vibe of the Chelsea fans that they do not want the Ricketts family in at Chelsea. Now, they've got some like a Muslim community from the USA talking about, I think from Chicago, saying, oh no, they're good guys, they're not Islamophobic, support them in their Chelsea bid. Which, you can... how their original intentions of that message has come out, you can make your own, assumptions and speculations. But Chelsea fans seemingly want to stand strong. Of course, they've just got this recent new backing from, was it Griffin, who's worth 20 billion? I mean, they're worth few bill themselves. So the financial muscle that is there, and it's profound, and they do have the links to running sports teams. So that a lot of people expected the Ricketts to go through to the shortlist, regardless to the No to Ricketts campaign, online sort of controversy or stabilization, easy for me to say, of their campaign. They're making public statements of saying how they want to be inclusive and, all this kind of stuff that they have to really after this, social media outcry. But still, I genuinely think if they get to the shortlist, the final 3 or the final 4, which is still likely because of how attractive their bid is in terms of financial muscle and running sports teams. This is the kind of thing Raine are looking for. But after they get probably to the shortlist, Raine will have to look closer. Can they take over Chelsea? Is it going to be problematic if they take over Chelsea? And I would say yes. Yes, I think Chelsea fans have already been talking about protests outside Stamford Bridge should they get through. Similar sort of outlook with, Woody Johnson, like Republican with some strong views, close ties to Donald Trump. I don't think Woody Johnson is going to be a front runner to get through to the shortlist of 3 and 4 personally, but the Ricketts, from the noises I'm hearing or certainly reading and listening to, they do seem like one of the favourites to go through. But I feel like Chelsea fans would probably rally against that. So who's next? Probably the favourite in many people's eyes in terms of who they think is realistic to go through and who they could back. And that is probably Todd Boehly's consortium, with Hans-Jörg Wyss, who, to be honest, he's not a football fan, but he wouldn't be the guy running the club. He's just part of the consortium. And similarly with the property developer who's now denying being a Tottenham fan, which I think we've got to be mindful of how much that actually counts for. I don't think he's going to be a man on the inside that's been sent in to destroy Chelsea. Certainly Todd Boehly wouldn't be buying the club if he thinks the guy that's helping him is out to do that, because he's the head of the consortium, Todd. I think in terms of his track record with his involvement in American sports teams, he wants to win, he wants to be competitive, he buys players, he gets together really strong rosters, lineups, squads, as we would call them. He'll want to compete, and like I've said on previous videos, he's wanted to buy Chelsea for a while, and he's tried before, so he'll probably have plans in place and certain inquiries and relationships in place. I think he's probably the most favourite to get through as a shoo-in to the short list. Now, at time we don't know when the short list is coming out. At time of recording, it's the afternoon on a Thursday, the 24th at the UK time. This video could be a waste of time, but I wanted to do it regardless. I mean, even if the shortlist is out, if said parties are on the shortlist, hopefully this video will be informative regardless. So that's good, but I do think Boehly's a favourite, and I think many Chelsea fans have aligned themselves with Todd Boehly's consortium as maybe as an acceptable potential buyer, as people have looked at him more. He's not getting in front of cameras talking loads. He hasn't got any skeletons in the closet. He talks well. He doesn't want the Super League, but he's not doing heavy PR. So it's kind of like the perfect balance, you'd have to say. Next up is Nick Candy and Catalina Kim. Nick Candy is very much the populist vote. He's what is he doing? He's made the Blue Football Consortium. He's of course Catalina Kim. We did a video yesterday. I'm sure many of you have seen. She's been speaking to Chelsea fans and trying to explain how their consortium works, how it would be set up in terms of who runs what. Which on the surface of it, I haven't got a problem with. I think that's probably quite informative. And she's pretty confident that they're going to get through to the next phase, to the short list. People were concerned about Nick Candy originally, really getting in front of a camera, not deliberately getting in front of the camera, but talking a lot, populist vote, lifelong Chelsea fan, season ticket holder. They got a Spurs fan in them. They can't come in, giving it all that. Linking up with the Chelsea legend Gianluca Vialli, really trying to lay it on thick of the proper Chelsea, true blue. I'll make us great again. But whether that's enough for at first you're like, okay, property developer, you'll redevelop Stamford Bridge, but can you run Chelsea successfully? And are you just all mouth? he brought in Catalina Kim, used her contacts with South Korea, and they brought in loads of backing with a lot of assets. Of course, we spoke about this yesterday as well. Financial backing, but indeed, like loads of people who work within football, if it's Korean League football, but work in sports and know how to run sports teams, which was hugely important, and that was huge question marks over Nick Candy on whether he was capable of running a club like that. So suddenly, I think his power ranking, if you will, in this run-up went up a lot. So I think he's probably one of the favourites too. So you've got the Ricketts, who people think they will get shortlisted just because of the financial muscle and because of the connections to sports teams, despite Chelsea fans not wanting him and despite Chelsea fans probably rallying against it should he make it to the next phase. I personally have a hunch that Willie Johnson won't make it through. And when we've spoken about Todd Bowley's consortium, Nick Candy's consortium, there's the Saudi media group who Nizar Kinsella has spoken a lot about. He's done his articles on them. I think he's got a source close to them. It sounds like he's got done some good research. He spoke on the London is Blue podcast about it. He thinks they are confident they've put a strong bid in. Whether they'll make it to the next phase or not, I'm not so sure. They'll have to prove no links to the Saudi government. They will theoretically get in before the human rights element of the owners and directors test comes in, so they could, just about dodge that. But essentially, they'd have to prove no links to the Saudi state. And I think there'll be strong scrutiny after what happened to Roman Abramovich, and I think it would take a long time probably to do that, but they might get through. They've been very quiet, which is often a positive sign in terms of, working seriously behind the scenes. But I don't know. I've seen a lot of backing for them on social media, but whether once they're being scrutinised, the Chelsea Supporters Trust and the pitch owners who will be consulted, what will they say about the Saudi media group? Of course, the Raine and the potential buyers and the government. They should consult. I think they are going to consult the pitch owners and the Chelsea Supporters Trust, who I listened to talk on the Athletic today, and they said yes, we are talking to potential buyers. So you'd imagine they'd talk to Raine Group as well. And then you've got Centricus. I think they'd be interesting if they got through. They popped up recently. It's like an investment hedge fund firm, banking, something like that, based in London. But apparently, reportedly, they're all Chelsea season ticket holders, every member of the consortium, and they want to buy Chelsea. So they come from money, they're from London, they're all Chelsea fans. That's all we know about them. They haven't done much in terms of public statements. We haven't seen many faces, but they could well get through as well. Of course, there's the Broughton Consortium, which again maybe have the same sort of odds as Centricus, like I've said. But ultimately, if I had to hunch, the top three would be sadly the Ricketts, because they're being really active and they're really rich. And then Nick Candy and Catalina Kim's consortium, and the Todd Bowley consortium. I think out of those three, if people had to choose, it would probably be split between Bowley and Candy. And it might be close, it might be really, really close. But I think maybe Todd has got the most popular votes at the moment. That's where we're at the moment. Keep it locked. Make sure you're subscribed, because as soon as the shortlist is publicised, we will break it down here on Football Therapy. So make sure you're subscribed and have the bell turned on. Thank you for liking the video. See you very soon.
Way so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.